what you show to the world.
The samurai's katana was not only a beautiful weapon, it was a symbol of power and position in Japan's complex social structure. A samurai actually wore two swords at all times as a visible sign of his untouchable authority, the katana and the shorter wakizashi.
Respect was demanded because they were the aristocrats. They were the rulers. They were the ones that the farmers grew rice for, the merchants traded goods for, the actors entertained and the priests prayed for. But they were also feared because, theoretically at least, they were the only members of the Japanese population who were allowed to bear arms.
The samurai and his katana were inseparable. Only death would part him from it. It was his soul.
During the 17th century, a book was published called Hagakure, which is the classic text of what it meant to be a samurai and how one was expected to behave. It contains the chilling phrase, "The way of the samurai is found in death." And in a sense, this sums up the whole of the samurai ethos. That the samurai's life was a preparation for death.
Samurai warriors took this code of conduct very seriously. They avoided failure, surrender, and dishonor above all else. Death was far preferable.
Samurai suicide, or seppuku, which is another reading of the popular term harakiri, is absolutely fundamental to understanding the samurai ethos.
The ultimate crime for a samurai was disobedience. He paid for his crime with his own hand. The code that had given him purpose would now end his life. If the samurai had served his master well, he could ask a loyal companion to assist him in his death by chopping his head off at the point of extreme pain. The Royal Armouries collection in Leeds in the UK is home to almost every example of sword ever made. And it now plays host to an experiment that will pitch two iconic swords against each other. The curved samurai sword from Japan versus the straight European broadsword. The broadsword was an ideal cutting weapon, the katana ideal for slashing. So which one is best?
With the abandonment of the feudal system, testing swords on corpses was obviously out of the question. And as a result, substitutes to human bodies were found, and what we're doing today is testing it on bundles of straw.
Straw is a good approximation for the density of human bone. Our samurai contender goes first and easily slices through. And interestingly, the European broadsword, even with its blunter edge, does just as good a job. But European-style swords never caught on in a big way in Japan.
European swords that appeared in Japan had no effect because the Japanese certainly recognized that they weren't forged in the same way as Japanese blades, and, quite frankly, regarded them as inferior.
Similar cutting performance, but very different fighting techniques. The broadsword relies on brute strength, and the samurai on speed and fighting finesse. But by the 16th century, a new weapon appeared that challenged both sword and warrior, and would change the face of warfare forever. In Japan, guns fired by non-elite soldiers forced the samurai off the battlefield. But it wouldn't be the end of the way of the warrior. Long after the demise of the samurai class, the spirit of Bushido, the way of the warrior, survives in modern Japan. Sword schools flourish, and the secrets of the katana remain as alluring as ever. 80-year-old Otake Sensei is one of the world's finest martial arts experts, and has attained the highest ranking grade in the art of samurai fighting. But before he passes on his 30 years of knowledge, all his pupils must swear an oath of blood never to reveal any of the secrets of the martial arts. More importantly, they swear always to conduct themselves in the true spirit of the samurai code. Otake Sensei teaches at the Katori Shinto Ryu, which was founded over 600 years ago. But before his pupils test out the science of the katana, they must first master the basics of one-to-one combat.
When you fight, you should never have the sun in your face. You should always keep the sun or the moon behind you. You can use it to blind your enemy. The best warrior is one who can turn circumstances to his advantage in a fight. Just here, the armor is weak, so it's a good target. Okay, take your position. You should attack here and here, at the arteries and at the heart. If you cut from the other side, you won't reach them. So attack here, or attack the neck. Of course, you can just step aside. But when you block the opponent, you should always use the back of the sword, because that's the hardest part. There are many marks on the blunt side of the sword. This is caused by constant use to block the opponent's blow. So you should use the back of the sword to attack, like this. Only if you practice again and again will your body remember. You have to be so good that you can think about going to work the next day and still be able to fight. But that takes a few years.
By day, Midori Tanaka